What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quarter. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. Interesting new news as we have the full arrest report of the good little boy that didn't do anything wrong. The rich family now who has raised almost $300,000 after he took the life of somebody over a petty, stupid, ignorant argument. And the amount of people defending this kid and trying to pretend it's the exact same thing as like Kyle, they are living in an alternate reality that I just simply cannot follow, fathom, or understand. I legitimately don't understand who these people are and how they type what they type, but I can rest assured we're going to look at it and we're going to make fun of them. Let's get into it. Thanks again, everyone, for picking up your Mother's Day gift boxes and your K-Cups on Amazon. Prices for coffee are increasing across the board due to the tariffs. Instead of raising prices, we have lowered our prices 15% and made all of our coffee available for free same-day or next-day delivery on Amazon. My only ask is that if you haven't yet, give us a try. I'm going to leave it linked in the description. Check out our Mother's Day box, and when you get it, please make sure to come back and take a picture and leave a review. We desperately need more verified customer reviews as Mother's Day is getting closer. I know it's early, but I'm hoping that I'll get a couple early birds jumping on willing to help us not look like we're some brand new product that's never been out before. So, I think once we get to a couple hundred reviews, we'll be good. All right. Below is the arrest report. The redactions appear to be witnesses who are minors, so we can see this. On April 2nd at 10:01, Staley School Resource Officer heard over the radio of a stabbing call at the stadium. I immediately left my office, ran across Staley Middle School parking lot towards the southwest entrance of the stadium. As I entered the stadium, two high school age students informed me that the victim was on the north end of the stadium by the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent. I did not identify these students. Next, I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium, the visitor side, on foot. As I got closer to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals under the tent. Once I arrived onto the north side of the bleachers, an adult male who was on the track pointed out the suspect. I was not able to identify that witness either. I'm sure because he was running like a bat out of heck. The individual that was pointed out to me was a black male wearing a gray hoodie and a dark colorized Nike pants. The suspect at this point was on the track at the north end. There was a chain link fence that separated me and the suspect. I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands in the air. During that time, the suspect said verbally out loud, "I was protecting myself." Interesting. It should be noted that I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment. I asked him if he had any weapons. He said no. I patted him down for weapons while we were walking along the fence, and I did not locate any on his person. I instructed the male to continue walking along the fence, which he complied towards the area where there was an opening in the fence that led to the track. While walking him off the track, the suspect also said, "He put his hands on me." I then detained the suspect in handcuffs and sat him down on the ground. I conducted another pat down on the person, searched his person, gave me the consent, and the weapons were located. Why'd you hide the weapon? While the suspect sat on the ground, I advised that I advised that I had the alleged suspect. The suspect interrupted me to say, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Next, Officer Ricci and I walked back to the patrol vehicle, which was on the north end of the stadium. As we were walking towards the squad car, the suspect was emotional and said, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." I did not question the suspect about the incident while he was escorted to the patrol vehicle. I searched this person once again and sat him in the back area. He had blood on his middle finger, which I verbally acknowledged. I saw the blood out loud, so it will be captured by my body cam worn camera. It should also be noted that the suspect asked me if he's going to be okay while in the back seat. "You stabbed him in the chest, bro." "No, he's dead." Then I then identified the suspect. He provided his name, blah, 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 blah. Upon arriving to the jail, he was escorted to the intake area, all that kind of stuff. Now, here are some witnesses. When I arrived on the scene, I approached the track and field, saw Officer Cortez kneeling next to a black, the A black male wearing gray hooded. This is another prison supplemental. The male later identified as Karmelo Anthony was in handcuffs. Where's this other stuff going on? Witnesses grabbed a roll of crime scene tape. Visitors, witnesses identified someone began telling me what happened. I asked them where it occurred, advised what had happened on the Memorial High School pop-up tent and the visitors' bleachers. I immediately started securing the area. This was... Here we go. I'm looking for more of these people's, short time later. Here we go. Here's where the whole self-defense case falls apart. The suspect, who was later identified, were sitting in a Memorial High School. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under the team's tent. And then Anthony grabbed his bag, immediately opened it, reached inside, and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." So the first thing he did, when they said, "Hey, you got to move," the first thing he did was grab his knife, which he had brought for this explicit purpose. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say it's inherently wrong or bad for people to carry a knife. A lot of people have knives that they carry. They generally carry them not in their backpacks when they're at a high school event, when they're 18 years old or 17 years old, but I digress. So he threatened him, "Touch me and see what happens." Instead of walking away, he escalated it. No one really thought Anthony had any weapon in his bag. Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short bit while later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out a knife and just stabbed him in the chest, then ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help, advised he did not know, he could not identify Anthony. So, yeah. All this kid had to do was get up and walk away. He stayed there because he was looking for a fight. Prove me wrong. All he had to do was get up and walk away. Now, I'm not saying that he had to legally or whatever the case was, but he stood there on purpose. He escalated that on purpose. Here's another witness statement. When arrived on the scene, it was already marked off. I began asking people if there were witnesses. I talked to this person. They were both breathing heavily and crying due to the nature of the events. They were there with coaches on the field. It was pouring down rain. We made the decision to relocate to the locker room just so I couldn't really talk to them there. I attempted to ask them what happened. I could not get really anything out of Hunter, but this other person stated he wanted to speak. I asked him what happened. He stated that they were all sitting on the bleachers under Memorial High School tent when another male, who they did not know, walked over and sat under their tent. Blank then said Austin, the victim, told this male that he did not go to Memorial, so he had to leave the tent. So I'm guessing it was raining, and he was like, "I want to get out of the rain." And he's from a different school. He went out of their school. He's like, "Bro, this is for us. You got to leave." Austin and the male went back and forth, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. So, I mean, he did put his hands on him. That's true. And said during this time of arguing, the male was reaching around in his bag where he had, at the time, the male took out a knife and stabbed him. This was all remembered as he talked to me. So this went down basically precisely as I expected. First of all, the kid refused to leave. He refused to leave because he didn't want to get his afro wet. I don't know. But he was where he shouldn't be. He was told he was where he shouldn't be. And he said, "Try something, see what happens." The witness was, this person said, basically everybody recounts this exactly the same. You see this, where it was pronounced deceased. I mean, this was, and we can look at some of the comments here. I don't need to explain this to you, but being told to move isn't a deadly threat. Now, if Metcalf had said, "Move or I'll take your life," that may be grounds for deadly self-defense. And in this case, based on the threat level and words exchange, Anthony will be convicted of at least manslaughter. If a court decides to drop all charges, there better be some riots. Yeah, I mean, charges will not be dropped. He was a hot-headed little punk who did not learn his lesson from being suspended the first time. He will go to prison for a long time. His counsel might try to plead to get him out of the murder charge. I suspect I actually suspect that he probably will just be charged with manslaughter here. I think it will be very difficult to prove like any kind of premeditation. You know, uh, you know, there's some evidence that this kid might have been sitting with a friend that was going to their school, and Metcalf's confrontation might have been wrongful. But that said, all he had to do was get up and leave. Why did he even have the knife with him at the high school track meet, right? Well, Karmelo Anthony's Give, Send, Go now has $300,000 raised for defense towards the $350,000 target, which I'm not sure why he would need $500,000 for the defense. Anthony's legal team is seeking to get his bail reduced from $1 million. A criminal trial is expected. Now, his lawyers have finally come out. Lawyers of teen charged with murder now have released their first official statement. Karmelo and the entire Anthony family are sincerely saddened that a life was lost and offer their condolences to the family of Austin Metcalf, the attorney said in a statement. During this difficult time, we urge the public to refrain from rushing to judgment before all the facts and evidence are presented. They continue. Karmelo, like all other citizens of the United States, is entitled to a fair and impartial legal process. We are committed to that. I mean, sure, that's fair. The attorneys say they're trying to reduce his $1 million bond. There will certainly be a long road ahead during this challenging time. We ask for prayers for both families, and we ask that your patience and respect. Look, Austin Metcalf should not have put his hands on this kid. That might be controversial to say. You might not like to hear it, but he shouldn't have done that. If the kid was there and he didn't belong there, you go get a security guard or whatever. It's not worth starting a fight over, period, regardless of skin color, okay? However, that is not a justification for deadly force. It's simply not. Karmelo Anthony is not going to be able to go in court and say that he, in good faith, believed that his life was at risk when all he had to do was walk away. It wasn't like they were chasing him. It wasn't like they cornered him. It wasn't like they were encircling him. It was a beef between him and some kid. He didn't want to leave. He got told to leave, and he took his life. Anthony allegedly confessed to it, and he told them that he was protecting himself. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that the court is going to rule that this kid was protecting himself. Do I believe that two rival high schools might have had some stupid verbal beef? Yes, I believe that's true. But this guy's not getting a self-defense. It may be good enough for him to only get manslaughter, but we're going to have to see. We're definitely going to have to see. There seems to be plenty of evidence that have laid out exactly what happened, and this kid escalated it to a deadly level when all he had to do was walk away. There was nobody preventing him from walking away. I might have listened if they were encircling him or if they were jumping on him and hitting him. None of that had happened. So we'll see. What's wild is the amount of people in these comments that are replying to this stuff as if, of course, it's just another, he was a good boy, didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, let me find that. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how many of these idiots are doing that. Where is this? Here, this thread. Directly from the police report. Karmelo was in the wrong tent. Austin asked him to leave. Karmelo immediately put his hands in his bag and said, "Don't touch me, see what happens." Austin then touched Karmelo, because that's what kids do, and then tried to get him to move again. Karmelo took his life. I mean, the people in this thread are like, where is this? Oh, here. How he touched matters. Also, how Metcalf has zero authority to remove him from the tent. Also, the wrong tent isn't really a thing in these types of situations. Schools intermingle with these frequently. Did Metcalf even try to get a staff member? What? How he touched him matters. These are all weirdo leftoids, and they're getting, like, he's in the wrong tent, but that doesn't mean you get to put your hands on him. I agree. Regardless of the outcome, this is a clear lesson. There's a proper way to handle things. Go tell somebody with authority to remove him. Yeah, I'd actually agree with that. I mean, he's getting ruthlessly ratioed. What's interesting is that he's basically saying, don't tell black males, they're unpredictable. You have to go get help. Or the dude in the wrong tent could have just gotten up and walked to the right tent. and not stabbed anybody seems like a much more rational way to deal with the tent, being in the wrong tent. Your bio says you're a parody account. I'm hoping you intended this as satire. I mean, there are just tons and tons of people who are defending this. Very, very dumb. Well, if you touch him, then I guess it was okay to kill him, right? Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll check out our Amazon store, which will be linked in the pinned comment, or you can just go to Amazon at this point and search Coffee Brand Coffee. I'm sure you'll find it. And we'll talk to you again real soon.